My name is Mrs. Aiken, and I'm going to be your guide through Unit 2, Order of Operations. Now, that seems like a pretty big term, but it's not that scary. We just have a few vocabulary words that I want to cover before we get into the unit. Some words that you will come across this unit are expression, and evaluate. These two words you're going to see quite a bit. We'll go over some other words here as we go throughout the unit, but I wanted to cover these words first because you're going to see these in the first couple of lessons that we're going to cover in lessons 1 and 2 specifically. The word expression is kind of like a problem that we solve in math, but it doesn't have an equal sign. In math, we like to group things together that are the same. And so when we are trying to evaluate an expression, we are trying just to get everything nice and tidy. And you'll see that in your OLS lessons. I really encourage you to go into your OLS lessons and pay close attention to them because they do a really great job of explaining evaluate and expression. So what we have here when we talk about the word expression is that we would have 2 plus 5 minus 3. Now, we don't have an equal sign here. We're just looking at this. This is like an expression. It's a number sentence, kind of like an expression that you might say, like your grandma might say, well, that's throwing the baby out with the bath water, right? Grandmas say some weird things sometimes. And those are expressions, right? This is an expression, right? And so when we evaluate it, we put everything together that we can to solve it. So we're going to evaluate by putting things in order. There's an order to how we put things together. Evaluate is how we solve an expression. How we solve or simplify. Sometimes we can't solve it. Sometimes we just have to make it simple. Okay? We just kind of keep things simple by grouping things together. For example, we'll come back to this page here in just a minute. Let's look at this fella. Let's look and see what he's doing. Now, I picked this picture because it has a labradoodle in it. And my labradoodle, you'll get to know her My Labradoodle's name is Barbara. And she's real naughty. She's a bad dog. She chews up shoes all the time. We have learned at my house never to leave shoes on the floor because Barbara will eat them. So, no shoes down on the floor for Barbara. But the reason why I chose this was not to show you Barbara, although, like I said, I wanted to introduce you to her. But I want you to pay special attention to what's going on here, down here on his feet. There's an order, right? There's an order to shoes and socks, right? There's an order to shoes and socks. When your mom tells you, hey, we're about ready to go put on your shoes and socks, right? Now, is that how we do it? No. The order is actually first socks, then shoes, right? That's the order of how things work, okay? That's the order of how things work. We must put on our socks first. Then, and only then, can we put on our shoes. And so that's why in math it works the exact same way. There is an order to how we solve math problems. Just like there's an order to how you put on your shoes and socks, there's an order to how you solve a math problem. Now, and I'm going to get to that right now. You may, in your lifetime, have seen this. Oops, let me put this back here. You may have seen this in your lifetime. You may have seen this before. Please, my dear Aunt Sally. Okay? Maybe your 4th grade teacher kind of talked to you about that. This might be a new skill for you. But this is the way to help us remember the order of operations. Well, this year, in 5th grade, we're going to switch it up just a little bit, okay? And we're going to switch it up. Let me see so you guys can see that a little bit better. Oops. To GMDAS. GMDAS. Because we're going to learn how to group together things like parentheses, brackets, and braces. Okay, there's parentheses, there's brackets, oops, and then there's braces, like that. Okay? And then, so we have our group, then next we go into our multiplication, then we divide, then we add, then we subtract. If you will remember these steps all the way through, Unit 2, you are going to be successful. Okay? First we do our groups. Then we multiply. Then we divide. Then we add. And then we subtract. Okay? So when we are back to here we were at the very beginning with evaluating our expression. We can look at GEMDAS here. And so instead of please, my dear Aunt Sally, we can say greet, my dear Aunt Sally. Okay, greet my dear Aunt Sally. Okay, and we'll get into this in Unit 2 to kind of help you realize why we changed that P to a G. But before we close, let's evaluate this expression together. Okay, so remember, we start over here. We don't have, I did this earlier. I don't want that to confuse you. Okay, we don't have any groups. We don't have any parentheses or brackets or braces. There's no multiplication. There's no division. We do have adding. So we're going to add first. So 2 plus 5 is 7. And then we bring down whatever's left on the line, so minus 3. And then the only thing that's left is subtracting. 7 minus 3 equals 4. So we just evaluated that expression using the order of operations, because there is a specific order of how we do things in mathematics. Just like putting on shoes and socks, there's an order of how we solve math problems. We'll see you next time.